Hey there, I've got another long division video for you. I'm coming at you with dividing the tens, your homework for tonight. And we got very serious about long division today. We learned a phrase that is going to help us remember all the steps that we need to do so we don't make a mistake and we do it every time. So we learned that we can say, does McDonald's sell cheeseburgers raw? And that tells me all the steps I need to do for a long division, which are determine, multiply, subtract, check, bring over, and repeat or remainder. So we did some of this in class. I'm guessing where we left off. I'm going to guess you're probably going to start your homework somewhere around here, 94 divided by 7. So the first thing I do before I start doing the long division is I write my list of steps to the side. Does McDonald's sell cheeseburgers raw? And then I'm going to use this as a checklist to help me as I go through. Something we learned today that was different than yesterday. Yesterday we were looking at the dividend and we were underlining the whole number before we started to determine. Well, today we learned that sometimes you just have to look at the first number. So if I have 94 Smarties and I'm dividing it between 7 kids, I'm going to first just look at the 9. And I'm going to say, okay, if I have 9 Smarties or 9 groups of Smarties, do I have enough to give every kid at least one? And I only have 7 kids and 9 Smarties, so I do. So since 9 is bigger, I'm just going to look at this 9 first. So I'm going to draw a box to separate my 9 and my 4. And this box tells me that I'm going to have to go through my checklist 2 times, one for the 9 and one for the 4. So starting with the 9, I need to determine 7 times what is going to get me close to 9 without going over. I know 7 times 1 equals 7. That's pretty close to 9 and doesn't go over. 7 times 2 is 14. Too big, it goes over 9. So I'm going to put my 1 here. Next, I multiply to see how many I've given out so far. 7 times 1 equals 7. So I put my 7 here. Then I subtract to see how many I have left. 9 minus 7 equals 2. Now I have to check to make sure the kids are happy. I have 2 left, and I have to give them to 7 kids, so that's less than 7, so my kids are happy. Now I bring over to the next box. So I'm going to put this 2 up here. And there's still a spot in the quotient. I still have more numbers. So when I get to R, I either need to do my repeat or remainder. Since there's still another spot in the quotient, then I repeat. And I start back at the beginning where I determine. So 7 times what is going to get me close to 24 without going over? Surfin times 3 equals Dentisun 21. That's pretty close to 24. Surfin times door equals Dentiplate 28. That goes over 24. So I know I have to put a 3 here. Next, I multiply. Surfin times 3 equals Dentisun 21. Now I subtract to find out what I have left. 24 minus 21 equals 3. Now I check and make sure I have 3. That's less than 7, so the kids are happy. Now I bring it over. Now I see that there's no other spot in the quotient, so when I ask myself repeat or remainder, if there's no spot in the quotient, then I put my remainder. Remainder of 3. So I gave each kid 13 Smarties with a remainder of 3. Let's try the next one. When I see a long division problem, the very first thing I'm going to do is put my checklist off to the side. Does McDonald's sell cheeseburgers raw? Then I'm going to start out by determining. So I have 39 Smarties and I have 3 kids. I'm going to look at just the first number, 3. Can I start giving 3 Smarties to 3 kids and still give everyone 1? Yeah, I can. So I'm going to draw my box. So my line goes here. And I make a box here. This tells me that I'm going to have to go through the long division steps twice because I have 2 boxes. So 3 times something is going to get me close to 3 without going over. Well, I know 3 times 1 is going to get me 3 exactly. Next, I multiply. 3 times 1 equals 3. subtract. 3 minus 3 equals 0. Check, make sure my what is left over is less than the kids. I have 0 Smarties and 3 kids, so they're happy. Now I bring it over to my next spot, 0. Now I decide repeat or remainder. I still have a spot up here in my quotient, so I am going to repeat. That means I start my checklist from the beginning. Determine 3 times what is going to get me close to 9 without going over. Well, I know 3 times 3 equals line 9. Now I multiply. 3 times 3 equals line 9. Subtract. 9 minus 9 equals 0. Check and make sure the kids are happy. I have 0 left and 3 kids, so they're good. Now I bring it over. And then I decide repeat or remainder. I don't have another spot left in the quotient, so I'm going to put my remainder. Remainder of 0. So that means that I gave the kids 13 Smarties and I didn't have any left over. Let's do one more. 99 divided by 8. Very first thing is I'm going to make my checklist. Does McDonald's sell cheeseburgers raw? First, I need to determine. So I'm looking at my 9 here. I'm going to start just with this. And do I have enough Smarties to start giving all of the kids at least one? I have 9 Smarties and 8 kids, so yes, I do. I'm going to draw my box right here. This means that I'm going to have to go through my checklist twice. So 8 times what is going to get me close to 9 without going over? Well, 8 times 1 is 8. 8 times 2 is 16. That goes over. So I'm going to put my 1 here. Then I multiply. 8 times 1 equals 8. Subtract. 9 minus 8 equals 1. Then I check. I have 1 left over and 8 kids, so they're happy. Then I bring over to the next spot my 1. That is a 19. Then either repeat or remainder. So I still have a spot here in my quotient, so I'm going to repeat. So I go back to my first step, determine. 8 times what is going to get me close to 19 without going over? Well, 8 times 2 is 16. 8 times 3 is 24. That goes over 19. So I'm going to have to put a 2 here. Then I multiply. 8 times 2 is 16. Subtract. 19 minus 6 equals 3. Then I check to make sure the kids are happy. 3 Smarties, 8 kids. We're good. Then I bring over my number to 3. And then I decide repeat or remainder. I don't have a spot here in my quotient, so I'm going to put remainder of 3. So I'm going to give the 8 kids 12 Smarties, and I'll have 3 left over. All right, I would like you to try 1, 2, and 3 on your own without my help. We'll check it in class tomorrow to see how you did. I know you'll do great. Good luck.